Hi, Ladypreneurs. I am Elise Smith, your faith-based business coach, and you're tuned into Divinely Driven Results on Transformation Talk Radio, where you learn and implement divine strategies for real results in your business. So as entrepreneurs, we've all been faced with that moment, that critical moment where somebody asks you who you are and what you do. And you kind of freeze for just a second if you're not prepared for it. And you start thinking about all the different things that you could say, and you kind of blurt out whatever comes out, right? Well, I want to ask you, how confident are you in the effectiveness of your introduction? How confident are you in being able to deliver that and to be able to show that other person why they really should get to know you and talk to you more about what you can do to serve them? And we all start at that lower confidence level, and that's okay. No matter where you're at in your confidence level with your introduction, you're going to get some great tips here today, because we're going to cover the 4 parts of your divinely confident introduction, because it is all about connecting heart to heart. Now, in order to be able to do that, you have to remember that we're all tuned into WIIFM, which is what's in it for me. We've all been in those networking events where it's person after person after person that goes up there and just blabs on about themselves or about their product or service with no regard to the person who's actually listening to it. It's like they get this moment to step on their soapbox and talk about themselves. Now, a lot of times we don't even realize that we're doing that. And so that is why it's so important for us to focus on these 4 parts of your divinely confident introduction so that you can be focused on the other person and you can find those opportunities and ways that God wants you to serve those people. So I'm so excited to get started, and I'm going to tell you, the first time that I went to a speed networking event, which is really interesting. I'm sure you've heard of speed dating, but speed networking is basically networking with every single person in the room, and you get 1 minute to introduce yourself, whether it's to a group or individual people. And if you want to try out speed networking and you're in Utah, you're in luck. Check out Faithful Ladypreneur's Facebook group and you'll find out more information about that. But this one moment that I had 1 minute to be able to share who I am, what I do, and why that matters to other people. And I was terrified. I kept thinking, okay, well, what if I share too much and I go over the 1 minute mark? Or I probably don't have enough to say, and then I'm totally like staring around at people and I have no idea what to say next and I don't look confident. Or maybe I don't really know, should I talk about this part of my product or service or this part? You know, we all kind of have those thoughts going through our mind a lot. And when we're focused on ourselves, it takes away from focusing on other people. So we're going to take care of that right now. And we're all meant to have confidence so that we can share the message that God has given us. We can't be able to be God's mouthpiece and be able to share that product or service with others if we're not confident. And sometimes there's that fake it till you make it concept. Well, we're going to go even beyond that. We're going to faith it till you make it. And we're going to do that by controlling our thoughts, our emotions, and having real strategies to be feeling confident when you do that introduction. It's going to be great. Now, I think about how Isaiah 32:17, it says, "And the work of righteousness shall be at peace, and the effect of righteousness, quietness and assurance forever." Ladies, we can have confidence knowing that we are doing the Lord's work through even just this simple introduction. It has to start somewhere. So I want you to have confidence knowing that you are working His righteousness. And you only get one first impression, so let's make sure that we started out right, which is all about focusing on the other person. So good introductions, as you probably are already aware, just from the introductions that you've seen from other people, is that they pique your interest. So they want you to get to know that person. They want you to say, I wonder how that works, or I really think that that person could help me. And you want to be able to show them that there's something of value that you have for them in particular. You're not just talking to the masses, you're talking to that one individual person, whether you're in a group or one-on-one. So we are going to remember the number one rule in your introduction is WIIFM. Always make it what's in it for them, right? So I guess that'd be WIIFT. So in order for us to be able to kind of clear this space and create what we want to create in this introduction, we're going to start, of course, with mindset. Now, I want you to think about the ideal scenario. Maybe you meet this person online. Maybe it's a networking event. Maybe it's at a grocery store or an actual elevator. It really doesn't matter where you meet this person. When they ask you, what do? You want to be able to have something. Now, we create everything spiritually or mentally before we create it physically. And so this is your chance to be able to really identify what you want to create. So in order for us to do so, I think about Corinthians 10:5, where it talks about how we need to take our thoughts into captivity. So that's what you're going to do. In order to create what you want to create, you're going to first create it in your thoughts. So how do you want to feel in your confident introduction? I mean, confident, right? But what are the other words that you want to make sure that you're feeling? Do you want to feel strong? Do you want to feel empowered? Do you want to feel loving, joyful, kind, excited, whatever that looks like for you? Make sure that you choose a couple of these just in your thoughts right now of what you want to feel when you go into your introduction, no matter where you're at. And then think about, just like we talked about in some of our other episodes here, is your inner dream stealer of being able to have your thoughts control your emotions. So what kind of thoughts would support you in feeling empowered, in feeling joy, in feeling confident? What kind of thoughts would a confident person have in that exact moment? And then what can you do to make sure you're feeling those feelings and having those thoughts, right? Because it's completely up to you. Because as we know, we reap what we sow. And so we're going to sow those confident thoughts and feelings even before we get started. So kind of prepping the groundwork, right? Then I want you to think about that other person. So what does God want them to feel and think about during your introduction? Sometimes we think along our lines, like, okay, what do I want this person to feel like? Or what do I want this person to think about? But it's really, we're doing God's work. So we want to invite him in. What does God want them to feel and think about during your introduction? Because self-consciousness of us focusing on, oh no, I don't know what to say, or what if I come off as silly, or what if they don't take me seriously? If you have all of that going on in your thoughts and your feelings, and you have that doubt and that fear, it's going to block you from being able to, one, feel the spirit on how you can help that other person, but two, really missing those opportunities to be able to see what they really need from you. So Philippians 2:3, it says, "Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves." So we need to think about them in order to help them, not us. And that can be really hard sometimes, but that's why we're prepping our heart and our mind beforehand of how we want to feel and what we want to think, so that we're not thinking about us. We're able to focus completely on them. And this means that that we can really be great communicators. And the greatest communicators are ones who make it all about the other person, and they read between the lines of what isn't being said to address that. Think about the people that you love communicating with, right? I bet that it's not all focused on them. In fact, some of those frustrating conversations are all focused on the person who's speaking, and you're like, okay, let's talk about me. We all love to talk about ourselves, right? So if you as a listener and you as a communicator are focusing on the other person, that's going to help them to feel that connection. And then we're going to think about what feelings or thoughts God wants them to have and what we can do to create that for them. So does God want them to be comfortable? Does he want them to be curious about your product or service? Does he want them to feel empowered? Honestly, in this exact moment when you are in your introduction, what does he want you to do with that time with them? I think that an elevator pitch is such an interesting word, because we only have a couple of minutes with someone in an elevator, right? And I believe that everything happens for a reason. There are no coincidences. And so if you're in an elevator with someone and they happen to ask you what you do, well, then what are you doing with that couple of minutes that God has given you to be able to serve that person? So what kind of feelings does God want them to have? Maybe it's this person really gets me, or wow, they can really help me, or maybe this person might be an answer to my prayers. But if you don't say it in a way that's going to catch their attention and to be focused on them, then all they're going to hear is that Charlie Brown voice, wah, 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 talking about ourselves. And so we don't want to miss that opportunity. So the 4 parts here, I'm going to give you the 4 parts here, and then we're going to really go into how this is divinely confident introduction of these 4 parts. So the first part is my name is and I am a. So we're going to talk about your title. Second part is you know when, and we're going to talk about their problem. The third part is well I, so that's your solution. And the fourth part is so that you can, and talk about the benefits. Now, I know that that can seem really simple, but we're going to really dive into this even more because these 4 parts are golden. You are really going to connect heart to heart with this person because you're going to be focused on what's important to them and what they're going through, as opposed to that 1 minute being all about you. So we're going to take a quick break here. And when we come back, you are going to learn every part of these 4 parts and really apply it to you and your business so that you can have that divinely confident introduction. Because it's not just about that confidence. It's not just about saying the right thing at the right time. It's about building God's kingdom. And you can do that even in just 1 minute with your confident introduction. So don't go anywhere because we will be right back. Welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about how some people maybe aren't doing their introduction very well because it's all focused about ourselves when we're speaking, right? But we've talked about how there is importance of having a divinely confident introduction to be able to have that confidence of sharing God's message with the world. And we kind of gave you a sneak peek on the 4 parts of the divinely confident introduction that we're going to cover here today, just to get you going on thinking about what that looks like for you. But let's dive into these 4 parts so that you can make it your own and ace your next introduction. So we're going to start off with part 2. Part 1 we're going to cover here in just at the end of this show because it doesn't quite follow the order, because I want you to really understand what we're building before you choose your title, because I think that that is really going to help you to see it in a different light. So let's go to part 2, which is all about you know when. It's the biggest problem that they have. So let's think first about our divine client or customer. In an earlier episode, we talked about how it's not just an ideal client or customer that we're meant to serve, but a divine client or customer, meaning that we are called to serve that type of person. So I want you to think for a second, who are you called to serve? You know, is it male or female? Are they moms or dads? Are they maybe don't even have any children? You know, what's their income level? That kind of thing. Just think about for just a second your divine client or customer. And I want you to think about what are the problems that they're having right now, whether it has anything to do with your product or service. Because sometimes we can make these connections that we hadn't even thought of. So just think about, what are they on their knees praying about each night for help? What are they really looking for a solution for in their lives? And then think about your product or service and think about what are their needs there. Now, it can be really easy for us to move into thinking about things that we know we're going to help with. So it might be that we have this solution over here, and so we say, okay, their need is this. So really be aware of your biases coming into this in thinking about the problems and the solutions that they're looking for. So the biggest and the best way to be able to have us really tap into the problems that they really need solved is to ask God, right? Why wouldn't we? He knows that person better than we do. He knows what they're praying for right now. He knows what they're saying, oh man, I'm so frustrated with this, right? So go ahead and ask God. And you can say, if you haven't already, ask him, who am I supposed to help? Who is my divine client or customer? And what are they struggling with? What are my divine client or customer struggling with or their biggest problems right now? And just brainstorm some, right? Take that to God and brainstorm with God, right? Write down a few of the problems or challenges that your person is having, and then listen to a couple that God comes up with and write those down and keep going back and forth until you can come up with those problems, and then choose the biggest one. And that's what we're really going to focus on. So it doesn't matter if it's perfect. We're not going to let the perfectionist demon come in here and steal away our progress, right? But what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, this is one I'm trying out. The greatest thing, ladies, about this introduction is that you can try out all sorts of different pieces and see what works best for you. But we don't want to get stuck in that perfectionism mode. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that I sell cleaning products. And I found that the problems that they're having is that they don't feel like their cleaning products are effective. They're worried about the chemicals that they're bringing into their home. They don't want to pay in an arm and a leg for good cleaning products, right? So it's price, it's the chemicals, it's the fact that they're not very effective. Those are some of the biggest problems if I am the one who's selling the cleaning products, right? So what is your person's biggest problem? In mine, we'll say for my example that it's the chemicals in the in the home. Excuse me. So you're going to identify their biggest problem. Now, that's part 2, is we're going to figure out their biggest problem, that connection point. So you say, when. And what's so awesome about this is that you're connecting with them. So you say, when you're scrubbing your countertops and you smell those fumes and you start to wonder, like, what chemicals am I bringing into my house right now? If you are having that same problem and you say that to someone who is having that problem, you're going to instantly feel that connection. They're going to realize that you get them. And people would rather be understood than anything else in the world. The greatest need that we as human beings have is not to be loved, it's to be understood. And so show that you can understand that person by connecting with them on a when. Create that me too moment. So that's part 2. Part 3 is how you solve those problems. What is your solution? And it's going to go in the form of, well, I. So remember, you have been called to this work. You're going to hear me say this over and over and over again on this podcast and this radio show, is because I want you to remember that everything that you do, you have been called to God's work. That's why you've been given this business that you're working on. That's why you feel so passionate about it. And so because of that, you are given talents and gifts and opportunities and blessings from God to be able to serve others, because that's what He wants you to do. So think about the talents, the gifts, the product or service or whatever that you have to offer. And this is the point where you get to talk about you or your product or service, but not in a vainful way, right? We want to still focus on that other person, because remember the number 1 rule, we're always going to focus on what's in it for them. So what solutions are they looking for? We just talked about the problems that they're having. What solutions can you provide to be able to help them with that? And we're going to take it even further. So instead of just looking at that first piece where it's like, okay, I'm having this issue of, we'll go back to the chemicals in the home, right? My prospect is having this issue of being worried about bringing chemicals into their home. Well, I want you to ask yourself, why is it important for them to not have chemicals in their home? And I want you to go in deeper and dive into really what is behind their problem. What is the solution that they really want, even if it's not just that surface solution? So we have the you know when part, but if we dig deeper, so we can say something like, my ideal client or customer wants chemical-free cleaners in their home. Why is that? So that they can clean without worrying about making their family sick. Why is that important to them? So that they can take good care of their family, right? Why is that important to them? Because they love their family and they want as many years and memories with their family as possible. All of a sudden, you went from selling a cleaning product to selling time and love with their family. You see, our product or service is not what it seems to be on the surface. It is all about what you can do to help that person in a meaningful way. It is so much deeper and bigger than just that surface of what you're selling them. And so I want you to really dig deep. Be able to really identify what is it that they really want. And if it has something to do with someone else in their family, that can be really strong for people. So maybe it has nothing to do with them and it has to do with their family or their friends or the impact that they have in the world. Just ask yourself those questions. Why is that important to them? Why is that important to them? We talked earlier about your why and why you're doing what you're doing, but think about their why and go those 3 to 5 layers deep until you can find that moment where they're like, yes, man, that person really gets me. You're talking more than just these features of a product or how you are providing your services. You're talking about those real benefits that they're going to be able to get out of it. So that's what I want you to think about so let's kind of recap here. So part 2 is the you know when. So you know when, and you talk about their problem. Well, so you talk about your solution and possibly how you do that. And then part 4 is so that you can. It's building those benefits for that person. You're helping them to see that there is a way to be able to get what they really want, even if they don't know what they really want. When you can show them that they really want this, even before they realize it, wow, that is so powerfully strong. And you're going to be able to serve that person in amazing ways. So think about what it is that they really want. So, it might sound like something like this when you put it all together. When you're cleaning the house and you smell that really strong chemical smell and it makes you wonder how many toxins you're bringing into your home. Well, I empower moms with chemical-free powerful cleaners so that they know that they are taking the best care of their family. How powerful is that? It is helping them to be able to see that you get them. You get their problem. You get that you have that solution. You're helping them to see that you have that solution, and you're getting that you really understand the benefit that they want out of that product or service. Dig deep and think about what that means for them. You are selling so much more than your product or service. And I want you to really understand that and remember that every single time that you do an introduction or a sales pitch or whatever that looks like for you. And what's great about this whole thing together is that it really helps them to be able to see you. It helps them to be able to see what your value is for them, because remember, we're focusing on what's in it for them, and this introduction does just that. You stand out amongst your competitors in such an amazing way because you're not that same person that's just going on and on about their product or service. You're connecting with them through your product or service, even just in that one moment of talking about it. It is extremely powerful. So those are the three parts like we talked about. Now let's go back to part one, because we haven't talked about that yet. And that is, so I want you to give yourself a title. And you may already have a title because you belong to a network marketing company or whatever that sounds like. You could even call yourself a CEO. But the greatest thing about being a business owner and this opportunity here is that you can name yourself whatever you want to. Oh, I cringe so bad when I hear people say, I'm a network marketer, or I'm a salesperson, or something like that, because you're not doing yourself any service by being able to say something like that. If you can put it in a way that piques their interest, that it has that curiosity and that familiarity, then that's going to help you 100%. Because you're going to start out with this. My name is, and I'm a, right? We're going to start out with our title. So I want you to be creative. I want you to get with a friend or a spouse or a business partner or whatever that looks like. And I want you to just kind of have fun and come up with some different titles that you could give yourself. So maybe I'm a travel promoter. I'm a joy recovery coach. I'm a chemicals specialist. You get to name yourself. You get to give yourself any title you want to. And so be creative with it so you can stand out amongst your competitors and all the noise and the advertisements out there, and really pique their interest and get them thinking about, wow, that's exactly what I need. That's the whole point of it. So let's recap here. So it would say, my name is, and I'm a, so give yourself a title. You know, when you have this type of problem, will I provide this type of solution so that you can da 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 da, right? And it's that real solution that they're looking for, not just the fluff and not just that surface layer why, right? Help them to see that you can help them to get what they really want, regardless of your product or service. It is so powerful. I've used this over and over again, and I've taught it over and over again, and I can't wait for you to try it out. So remember, and also, so this is kind of like a 15-second intro, and you can expand it for addressing other benefits or other problems or other solutions if you need 30 seconds. And if you need like a full 1 minute, give your own why. You know, I got started with this because da 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 da, so that they can connect with you, because people buy from who they know, like, and trust. So build that know, like, and trust with them. So I just want to tell you guys that God wants us to have confidence in everything that we do, because we're building His kingdom. We're doing His work. So why wouldn't we have that confidence? And so when you know what you want to say and you're saying it in a way that's going to really benefit that other person, you're going to find amazing results because of this. So really help to take that to the next level. And if you're wondering what you can do next to be able to help get this involved more in your business, is I'd encourage you to download my tracker. What this thing is going to do, it's the Divinely Business. It's the Divine Business Tracker. There we go. And you can get it for a great deal, only $9.97 on my website, so just $10. And you can check it out at divinelydrivenresults.com/tracker. And what this is going to do is it's going to help you to be able to understand how your introduction is working. And like I said, you can use this online, in person, it doesn't matter where you use it. So when you download this tracker, you're able to really kind of watch the conversion rate of the introduction that you have and all the steps of your sales process. And there's so much more in there. You're going to learn how to do divine business meetings with God, which is going to really help you to understand what your ideal client or customer's problems are and how you can be that solution. You're going to get clear about your sales funnel and really fulfill that sole purpose that you have by obtaining those sales goals. So I can't wait for you to download it. So go there right now and check it out. And then join us next time here on Divinely Driven Results. We are on Mondays at 9 a.m. Pacific time for more divine techniques for real results in your business. So try out your new Divinely Confident introduction and tweak it and play around with it, because practice makes progress. So just keep doing it over and over again. Take it to the Lord, see what kind of suggestions He has for it, and I know you're going to find great success in this. So thanks so much for watching, and we will catch you next time.